Welcome. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the till balance report that is printed at the end of each shift at the till. This report is also accessible via the till balance report in the back office. This report we'll be looking at is generated via the back office. It is the exact same layout and the same numbers that are printed at the till, although it will look slightly different as at the till it is printed on a narrow piece of paper. Let's have a quick look at each of the items within this report and see how the report balances. At the very top of the report, you'll have the standard header information that you get in any receipt. This will include the operator and the till, and as we see here, the date and the time that the report has been taken. Below this, we have a heading called Shift Totals, the name of your venue, and the shifts that this report is for. In this example, I'm taking a report for the last 60 days to ensure that there is enough information that we can see how the report works. The first bits of information that is presented to us is the first transaction date and time and the last transaction date and time. These are key pieces of information that you can use to see when the sale started for the shift and the last sale for that shift. Below this, we move into the balance info area of the report. I will just scroll down to display this whole section. You will see that the format of the report is such that down the left is all the names of the totals. In the middle, there is a quantity column, and on the right, there is an amount column. The first entry is gross sales. This is a key number that you should be aware of in the report. Firstly, the quantity column will show you the raw number of products that has been sold in the shift. On the right, the amount column will show you the amount before any item discounts have been applied to these products. And then immediately below the gross sales figure, we'll have a list of numerous discount totals. In this example, we have promotion, staff discount, VIP discount, and points redeem. In your examples, you may have anywhere from no discount totals up to 16 different discount totals. You'll see that on the right, each of these discount totals have a negative number, and each of these are discounted off the gross sales figure to come to a net total amount. This net total amount is simply the total revenue from product sales in your system. It is not the draw total amount, because as we'll see further down, we have a separate draw total amount. The draw total amount is the actual amount of money, which is cash and credit cards and other payment types added together that will be in your draw. To get to this number from the net total, there are numerous numbers that we must add and subtract, as you see in this example on the screen. Some of these totals will increase the amount of money that's in the draw, but not directly from sales of products. Things like gift certificate issue, credit card handling fees. These are totals that will add to the money that's in the draw, however, they're not derived from sales of products. Conversely, there are other numbers that will deduct from the cash and draw. Things like petty cash, value of points cashed, gift certificates redeemed, etc. These will also affect the draw total, but are not in the net total. The two other examples that we have on the screen is table and account. These are both facilities within BPOS, whereas you can ring up items, but then accept the payments for these items at another time. This means that it's possible that you can actually ring up the items within one shift, but not accept the payments until a much later shift. In this case, the payments and the charges will not be the same for tables, and in which case, the items will add to the net total, but not receiving the payments means that the draw total would be affected. Conversely, you may actually receive a prepayment for an account. In this case, the payment will add to the draw total, but as no products have been purchased yet, it is not included in the net total amount. You'll see that these are both examples on the screen. You see the account is payments minus charges of a positive $13, meaning that $13 more payments have been received than charges entered. On the table, you'll see that the amount is minus $30, meaning that there has been $30 more charges entered than payments for this shift. This may or may not be an issue. If your understanding is that all the tables have been fully paid for, within the period that the report is for, and you also have an entry next to table, this may be something that you should investigate to ensure that all the tables have been correctly paid off. Okay, moving to the bottom of this section, you'll see that above the draw total, there is a subtotal and a draw clearance amount. The subtotal will only appear if you entered a draw clearance for this shift. A draw clearance is when you take money out of the draw due to excess cash being in the draw and you wish to minimize the cash holding in the draw. Okay, that's covered the balance info section of the report. Just remember, in your reports, you may have more or less totals included depending on the configuration of your system. However, they still add up the exact same way as this example. Let's scroll down and see the next section in the report. The next section is called Payment Details. In here, it'll list all the different payment types, the quantity of times each has been used, and the amount that has been taken through each payment type. In this example, you'll also see that we have a counted column, as we are counting the cash and the credit cards at the till in this example. You'll see that I have the cash, I have a section called credit cards, listing each of my cards that I'm using, a card total, and then I also have the same draw clearance amount in the counted column that we discussed earlier. Then, below this, we have the total of all the counted. Over to the right, we have a total of all the payments that have been received through the till. Then below all this, it shows us a draw difference. In this example, it is showing that we're $1,433.10 under, meaning that our draw is short. But remember, the draw difference amount and the counted columns will only appear if you actually enter counts at the till or in the back office. Below all this, to balance with the top section, you'll see that we have the clearance amount. In brackets, we have a cash and draw figure, which is just simply the amount of cash in the draw without credit cards or other payment types. And then the payments minus clearance amount. This is the total in draw with all cash and all payment types added together. This should balance with the draw total number in the previous section. So, in summary, the top section being the balance info, we arrive at the draw total from the actual number of sales and the products that we have sold. In the lower section, we have arrived at the draw total from the payments that we've received. Okay, that's the hard bit done. Now let's have a look at the rest of the report, which gives us summary information about the shift. If we scroll to the bottom of the screen, you'll see that the next section is called Account Details. In here, we can see the same totals that we saw in the Balance Info section. For the table, you'll see that we have a net of minus 30. But now we can see the detail of the charged amount and the payments amount. Likewise, with the accounts, we can see that the net was $13 like before, but now we see the total charge and the total payments. Below this, we see an overall account turnover amount. Plus, we see the points earned and points spent. In the next section, we have miscellaneous details. In here, we have information such as quantity of orders, which is the total number of transactions, the average order, number of no sales, cancelled sales, quantity and amount, training sales, returns, and even stock losses. Next, we have tax details, which will list each of the tax rates, the tax collected for each rate, and the total sales. You'll also have a non-tax figure if you've done non-taxable sales. Below this, we have breakouts of sort types, sort groups, product types, and type groups. These will show you the quantity of products sold and the net amount of sales for each category. This has covered a standard till balance report. Just remember, in your system, the report may vary by having extra information in it or maybe certain sections not being included.